The failure of manifestation and the failure of the law of attraction. I think a couple of things that really mess those things up is I think the average person thinks it's way more than what it really is. And then also, I believe there's things that a person can have dinging around in the back of their mind that actually stops the things. Okay, like for example, like the law of attraction. If you read into so many books out there and so many things on YouTube about it, you know, it's like you're supposed to have a feeling or a vibe that whatever you want, you already have. It's like, well, that's real simple, right? It's like, yeah. But anyways, you know, for me, my God, I've got oodles and oodles and oodles of little snippets and little bits and pieces, probably more than a few thousand variations of, affirmations to try to get the thing work, to try to be like, okay, like for example, like in the Bible, Jesus was always talking about, you know, if you can pray in a manner that what you want is already an accomplished fact, that you already have it, like it's not lacking, then you shall have it. You know, I've never seen anybody really have that work for them. And when I was younger, I grew up around churches and religious stuff like that. So I kind of had a grudge to that kind of thing anyway. So, anyways, with a lot of experimentation, and I mean a lot, like a lot, I would say it does work, and it is absolutely real, very real. But this is the way I kind of do it, and this is the way I think it works best for me. And I don't know so much about, I don't know if it's really true that there's like a true magic in the universe, but there is a true magic to life and death itself that just kind of presents itself in the way it wants to form. Reality wants to form or be. And it's like, it's my job to figure out how it wants to be and kind of help it. Co-creator. Co-creation is what it is. Co-creator with the creator. So, like the way I do my law of attraction things is I voice my wants, my needs, and I say it as in almost like a form of gratitude. I'll start it off like, I'm thankful that the ... exists, or I'm glad to know that ... is an accomplished fact, or I'm thankful that ... You know, I'm not going to read off some exact ones I got going on right now. Oh, unless you want me to? Okay, I will then. Yeah, since you asked politely. Okay, here's some exact examples, like these happy little cards. Put colors in them. Treat your words good. Respect them. Cherish them. Sign your name to your affirmation cards. Keep these cards on you every single day. Say the stuff every day, 2 or 3 times a day. Here's some of the way I do this style on this card in particular. One is I'm glad to know 1 million people's lives are changed for the better because of reading my books on trust building and trust repair. Here's another one. I'm glad to know 1 million people's lives changed for the better because of reading my book on red flags, green flags exists. I, I'm glad to know 1 million people's lives have changed for the better because of reading my book on self-reconciliation exists. You kind of see how it goes. It's like in these books, a couple of these, only one of them is a finished manuscript, and one of them actually is published, but it's not into production yet. I've had issues and legal issues. So, but a couple of those, like the red flags, the green flags, it's not a completed book. I've got all the notes on it, and it's not organized. I'm not sure how the spirit of the universe wants it to manifest out and to be to the world. I'll know once I start shaping it. I've got a good idea of how I think it wants to manifest itself, because I believe there's only one kind of true art, and I think that art is the art creates itself more or less. And when I say art, it doesn't painting, or whether it's writing a book or writing poems or whatever, or creating products or anything. I think the thing comes out of the quantum field, and it manifests itself, and we call it up. We call it up through our ideas and our imaginations. It comes out of the formless, and we bring it into form, and we form it. For example, what makes it so fascinating to me, one thing that makes it so fascinating to me is the fact that, like some of the last writing I was doing, I was forcing it, and I mean I had some pretty rigid deadlines of the other year. It's like this quarter of this year I'm going to accomplish this, and then by the half of the year I'll have this accomplished, and then in the third quarter this is going to happen. This is what's going to happen in this month, and then that following couple weeks, blah blah blah. And I was going pretty rigid to it, and I was getting stuff done, but it just wasn't really coming out. And I just wasn't enjoying it, and it wasn't happening right for me. And even though I was doing certain prayers and meditations, even those didn't seem like they were mismatched. It's like something was off. But anyways, I keep like these little tidbits of notes that I use for my own personal use to shape my own character and to plant the seeds that I want to be growing in my mind and in my subconscious. And I've got just oodles and oodles of relationship stuff about relationships. It doesn't matter whether it's lovers or friends or family or business. I've got all these little snippets of notes. And one day it struck me like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh my God. It's like, why am I not using my notes to write with? It's like the stuff I'm keeping to myself. Why don't I share that with the world? Because that's where my heart was really at. That's what I really like, and that's what I'm really into. And once I started doing that and got a good idea of what I wanted to do, it started coming together pretty quick. And to me, I finally made something that I don't know if I want to use the word proud, but a very, I want to say not enlightened, but fulfilled. I was very fulfilled by it because I knew I created something that can truly help people, who have emotional disorders and stuff like that. Mainly alcoholics and addicts and people who have been in abusive relationships, whether men or women. And all those notes were stemmed out of stuff like that, because it's all notes about me and what I've gone through and stuff like that. And once I painted a picture of it and got an outline of it, this is what popped out. This is volume 1. This is called the True Love Papers, because it's like that's what I had marked on pretty much all my notes. I'd have that little mark on it. And anyways, Yeah, this is a series, relationship books. 44 pages is the rule. Never be longer. Super plain Jane English. No high intellectual jargon or anything like that. That's the rule. Those are my only firm rules. Other than that, it's negotiable, and it's got some pretty forgiving guidelines to it. And anyways, volume 2 is done. Trust building and trust repair, which I think is, I was just beside myself the other day when it finally came together. And it came together at the end of this last quarter of this year. And we still got a couple of weeks to the end of this year. And no, I didn't have it marked out on the calendar as I got to do this by this last quarter or whatever. I just kind of slowed everything down, way down, because I want to make sure in this next couple of weeks I get my calendar laid out real good for 2025. Take care of what needs to be taken care of. Clean my slate with the sloppy debt that I've taken on. And then recalculate. And immediately, with the habit of taking that money and paying that debt off, then by that time, I should have learned enough to where I can republish and restart again, and hopefully get these on the market, and especially by Valentine's Day. That's kind of a goal there. Have it on Amazon or something. Wanted it to be in Barnes and Noble, and it could be. Except they want me to jump through a bunch of hoops that I don't want to jump through. And not right now. Some odd reason I have an attitude about somebody telling me that I gotta do this and gotta do that. I've run into problems with, I've had a couple of different publishers I've worked with in the past 5 and 6 years, and they just fight me the whole way. It seems like they got two ways. They either fight you the whole way on everything that you want or want to try, or they can't do it for you, or they won't do it for you, or they'll do the exact opposite. They'll just let you do whatever, which is just as bad, if not worse, because you could put the most terrible thing out there and they'll just let you do it. So anyways, law of attraction, manifestation, writing these things down. That's kind of a habit I've had from that Napoleon Hill book. That's already been almost 7 years since I've started doing this stuff. And at that time, I did mark out what I perceived as success, and I had reasons back to it, which I'm not going to say right now in this video, but $27.9 million is what I perceived to be rich enough to be flexible in the money you got. $27.9 million. And it's like I've had that. And I actually wrote a check to myself for $27.9 million that I've carried. And it's worn out to where it's just little fragments of pieces of paper now. And I still got it. I keep it. I don't carry it on me now because it's falling apart and it's just a little fragmented. But it turns out freaking Jim Carrey did that stuff too. I didn't know that. That was so cool. I thought I was just doing some crazy stuff there. I thought I'd made that up. Apparently there's been others doing that too. But anyways, yeah, it's a long day in school getting past those subconscious guards, because those subconscious guards, those subconscious beliefs and programs we take on when we're growing up, especially if we grew up in a dysfunctional, poor household and around poor people, it's hard to overcome, especially if you get older and then start trying to get up about 45 or so and then start trying to reprogram your mind. It's tricky, but it can be done. It can be done.